Hey, hi Calibria Squad, Foxy here with a new Calibria Crystal Guardians video. In this video today, we're going to talk about 3 stars you should definitely heavily invest on as an early game player because you may not have the specific nat 5s to replace them. I also talk about rune builds and what I found successful in Colossus V10 for these support units. And we'll talk about their skill trees and what I would suggest. Before we get into that, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and let me know if this video helped you by the end. And yes, I'm wearing my Summoners War hat because it shows I haven't quit on Summoners War yet. We're still playing, but right now we're enjoying Calibria Crystal Guardians, alright? First unit, let's talk about the Windwalker, okay? First things first, 3 stars are very easy to sanctify. So if you're not familiar with sanctifying, once they hit level 40, you unlock Sanctify, you feed a 5-star version, doesn't need to be awakened, just 5-star fresh from 4-star max to 5-star, and you feed it in and you get one of these skills. So I picked Alert because I wanted more defense, but also for the erase a negative status effect from self when HP falls below blah blah blah. I found that I'm testing it out right now because if I get defense broken, I get 1 shot basically, and I want to cleanse in that scenario. So the purpose of the Nat 3s here is they're easily sanctified. Unlike a Nat 4 like the Druid, I don't have a Sanctify because I haven't pulled a dupe, or even like a Nat 5, no Sanctify. That's the #1 reason why I should invest in these 3 stars, because the extra stats that you can get from Sanctify is crazy. And to show you, look at this. You get HP, attack, etc. and etc. You can explore this on your own time, and we'll test it with the builds. Okay. The reason why Windwalker is so good, for the people who play Summoners War, it's like a Bernard. And when you put 3 Swift, a 6th set of Swift, like what I have right here, it's on HP. The reason why I put on triple HP is because her stats are too little compared to, let's say, a Nat 5. Like 1600 defense, 1100 defense, right? Or even Nat 4, 1600, 1300, 1800, 1100. That's not, the stats are too little, and that's why I decided to go for a no speed slot 2. That's the main reason. I tested it with speed slot 2. It just wasn't tanky enough for C10, and I just kept being destroyed. The moment I changed it to triple HP or double HP 1 defense, I found a lot higher success rate. So that's one how to ruin the Windwalker and your other support units. And the skill tree that I'm rocking is the default one. It has HP regen, but also 100% attack bar gain to an ally here, and this one gives haste and attack bar increase. So that's really important for C10 because you want to keep turn cycling. Also, this is like an end game unit, like you know in Summoners War, Bernard, Cleave team. This is gonna help you get more cycling turns for a support unit for the rest of your game. So a really good investment, and if you have the skin, it gets additional more speed from the skin. So the next one we're going to talk about is the Harpy. Definitely invest in the Harpy. People who say the Harpy is not worth it, or because you have a Nat 4 like a Druid, for example, or a Selene. No, like I said before, Sanctify. I can't Sanctify this because it's not level 40 yet. It's a 5-star. I'm still working on her right now. So you notice her stats, I have negative runes here, but same concept. I built it on speed, HP, defense. These are just garbage runes. Trust me. This is not how you want to build her. You want to build her exactly how I built the Windwalker, because you want her to be tanky enough to live through the trash wave and heal. Let's talk about why she is so good. So for the skill tree, first skill is default, right? It has a bleed. A bleed is a dot, very good for C10. Anything that's a dot, bleed, burns, etc., very good. So first skill, definitely what we're looking for. So this skill, you can do between these two here. So what I did here was restore HP of all allies by 50%, increase resistance to crit rate. So I think that the heal is what I'm looking for here, not so much for this skill, which is a revenge. So link with the ally for 2 turns. If either caster or the ally is attacked during this time, the other hero will counterattack. So if you have a counterattack like a Popo, you counterattack, your first skill does a bunch of dots. So this is more of an aggressive type build, and I prefer the healing for more sustain with my Druid here. So moving on to the second skill tree here, Siren's Blessing. I switched it to this. Initially, I was scaling this up, thinking, hey, I might need more HP and energy, but really I think this skill, Siren's Blessing, is what you want to go for, because your Druid has a healing, for example, your other healer, like a Cleric, and then your daughters will get more turns by reducing ally, but also you have give a haste. That is a speed buff. Speed buff is crucial, does very similar job to what the Windwalker is doing, but instead you get the heal, the more heals from the second skill, and the cooldown reduction for more heals on your Druid and herself, and it just works out really well. So that's how I built the skill tree for the Harpy. I definitely 100% would tell you to invest in it. The next one is going to be the Mummy. So my Mummy is not evolved here, so I'm going to go to Archives and show it to you in Archives, because that way we see the actual skill tree. And you're probably wondering, oh, why didn't you invest in Mummy, Foxy? Well, that's because I have an Abyss Lord and I have a Popo. Those are super premium daughters in this game. Where is this unit? Right here. And also if you have Medusa, also premium. So he's more of the free-to-play options for a daughter for C10, aka your damage dealer. So let's look at his skill tree here. Torment. Slash at the enemy with a poison sword to deal blah 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 damage. What we're talking about here is the poison. Okay, this is what's important. The poison to target for 1 damage. Like I said before, to beat C10, check out the guide by the way. Dots is the answer. And when you have a counter attack buff from the Druid, for example, and you're all revenging with first skill, that's a lot of dots you're applying. Good synergy. So I think I looked at his skills here, and we'll look at it together, but in my opinion, I think the default skills are probably going to go for. Correct me if you're wrong, or if you have a better build. Maggot summons larvae to attack an enemy 3 times. Each time you have a chance to land a dot for 3 turns. 3-turn dot is really good here. So the more dots you land, the less likely you're gonna wipe. And here we have, oh, thanks for subscribing, Patrick, even though I'm recording right now. Interesting. So you'll always be in this video. All right, anyways, Collide. Crash an enemy to deal 20 damage. There's no dot here. Like, we don't care about stun. I mean, this is good if you're trying to clear Trash Wave to stun. But honestly, we're not looking for that. We're looking for damage, and that's why Collide is not what we're going for here. Bandage Dance. Attack all enemies, okay? All enemies, and poison them for 2 times for 2 turns. That is insane. That's a lot of damage. When you look at this skill, for example, I don't care about gaining immunity to poison or any dots, because that's not what the boss does. If you're using it for something else, maybe Deathly Constitution is what you're going for. But for C10, no. This is what we're going for, okay? And then passive of power. Hit is accuracy. I am not building my Mummy with HP, and then having accuracy to land more dots, because that way, I mean, I only have dots here, I only have dots here. I would much prefer having 3 skills landing dots, landing maximum damage, tank it out with if a defense breaks attack buff on me from C10. That way, I like this skill tree the most. Like I said, I didn't invest in it because I got Abyss Lord, I got Popo, I got premium daughters here. Okay. So the next one I want to talk about here is someone that I've neglected because I have a premium version, aka the Druid. So the Cleric, for these who don't have a Druid, the Cleric is still worth using. Like I said before, number 1 thing is Sanctify. You get the extra stats, and that's why I left her at 4-star max. So let's look at the skill tree here. The skill tree I went for isn't maybe the best, but it's what I'm currently using in the early game phases, and I kind of replaced her, so I haven't put too much effort in her. So if someone has a better build, let me know in the comments below what you used. So summon 3 meteorites, and then chance to dispel. That's what we're talking about. When the C10 buff, boss has an attack buff and your defense broken, goodbye to your team. Dispelling is similar to Druid's first skill, so increasing the trigger rate is really important. So this skill, we erase all allies' negative effects and restore HP. Very similar to what Necromancer does. So it's a cleanse, but also a heal. So that's really good for a free-to-play option for C10 because it has everything you're looking for, a heal and a cleanse. This skill is just DPS, but it also removes target buffs. I think the dispel from the first skill is sufficient, plus the healing will help you your beginner team way more. So prayer, sacred drift, pray to the heavens to restore 20% HP to all allies, increase the attack for 2 turns. I don't think the attack buff is too important here, so maybe this skill might be better. Restore 50% of all allies HP, and each time an enemy's buff is dispelled. So this works really well with the first skill, but it's more of a passive skill. This skill is additional healing, and that's maybe one we consider. If you're running double healers, then maybe you can go for this, right? Because you can strip in this, but I think this is probably a safer bet, even though attack buff is not what we're looking for. Sacred Gospel. After dispelling a buff from an enemy, you only have 1 dispel here, so keep that in mind, because we're definitely not running this, even though this would synergize with Shooting Star, for example. 7% chance to transfer to an ally and increase the duration by 1 turn. Okay, I don't really want his attack buff, for example, from the boss and get it, so I'm thinking Sacred Gift is probably the best build, the default build. And we also have HP lead. If you're really poverty and you need additional HP, we have it here. Anyways, those are my top units that I would suggest you invest for 3 stars, because they would definitely help you progress in the game. Inspire, the TOA version of this game as well, which is the Dreamland, and also C10, which is your first goal, because we are Cleve City. If this helped you, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, because it'll definitely help the channel grow, and we can make more Calibria Crystal Guardians videos. Alright, Foxy out. See you guys.